We're going to move now to talking for a while about specific kinds of assistance to help build integration of our economic community. And then we're going to end up talking broadly again about building institutions for helping to do that across many different kinds of needs and players and organizations involved. So now it's my pleasure to turn the panel over to Steve Podgajny, Director of our Portland Public Library, to talk about their role in addressing some of those needs as one of many growing partners. Stephen?
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for organizing this, by the way. My plan is to just give you a very quick survey of what the library actually does in a variety of ways in trying to connect with new Mainers. And I will just say from the beginning that for us, from the first meeting over at Muskie, this is a huge learning, as much as we do it with new Mainers, this is a huge learning process for us going deeper into some of the data, and I'll explain why. For those of you who don't know much detail about the library, it's a system of 4 service locations and a service annex on the back end. It also has a portable library system. We have about 700,000 visits a year, and we lend about 1 million items a year. I think most people think of libraries since their creation as being the great equalizer or the great democratizer for the public generally, and that was the case in the 19th century, and I'd argue now, particularly with refugee and immigrant populations, in our case new Mainers, that it's probably even truer now than it was in the 19th century. The only thing that's changed, of course, between now and the 19th century is country of origin, basically, but it's the same story. The Urban Libraries Council is a membership group of large urban libraries throughout the United States. Actually, they're of all sizes, including Portland Public Library as a member. In 2008, they released a report titled "Welcome Stranger, Public Libraries Build the Global Village." And it listed 5 strategies for success, and these were generated from their interviews with the individual libraries that participated with the survey, which I think was approximately 50, as well as a review of the literature at that time. And I took the 5 because I thought it might be very easy for me, or easier, to organize what it is we do, our activities, our partnerships, and also our challenges in working with the new Mainer community. The first is libraries understand local immigration dynamics. Well, that's not true. I mean, for us, beyond, which echoing my initial point, beyond our questions of data from the census at a certain level, what we can do as researchers, we understand that, but I would argue it's at a very, very surface level. And these are some of the factors that play into it. Our fluency in foreign languages on the staff is really limited primarily to French, Spanish, and Russian. We have a very hard time finding fluency in other languages to support the work we do on the staff. And there are a number of people who speak those languages, so it's not that it's scarce, but it leaves us at a loss in certain areas. Our collections, in terms of having them as in-depth resources in various languages, have been too expensive for us to sustain or to broadly make available throughout the library system. I mentioned we lack the in-depth demographic understanding of various new Mainer constituencies. We also, and this is one thing that became very clear to me in the meeting at Muskie, is we really lack an understanding of how to develop a meaningful entree into new Mainer constituencies for needs assessments, program development. Questions such as who are the key people, where do we physically go to connect with various constituencies and what we'd all sort of consider the new Mainer community. So that's a very practical matter. And I say this out of respect to ourselves as a place that doesn't necessarily wait for people to walk through the door and trying to go out and serve people out in the community. But it's a barrier for us to reach our potential. The second strategy from the Urban Libraries Council report was libraries bring cultural and language sensitivity to service delivery. And that is, I would say it's absolutely true in our case. And I can give you some quick examples. The main library makes a pretty strong statement if you look at the facade of the building. Libraries written in 16 languages on the facade of this building. That was a conscious thing to acknowledge that this city was a pretty diverse place, and people said library in a lot of different ways. Our code signs within the building are in 8 languages. So things that say bathroom or emergency exit or whatever. These may seem like small things, but I think they're fairly significant statements when they're literally written into the structure of an organization. Our exhibits in the Lewis Gallery have included major cultural diversity elements from Zanzibar to the Arctic, other places in Africa. I mentioned about our challenge with not enough language fluency available to us. But over the next year, we are going to begin producing many more materials available for handout, and that will also be available electronically. One thing to our credit, in our media collections, we have a tremendous amount of cultural content from various locations. It does occur to me to add that one of the things right now that we might add in this city is this a response to this language challenge by organizations that care about New Mainers as a collaborative resource. That's something we could all invest in. A bunch of free agents or folks who can float between organizations that are trying really to do serious needs assessments and program development. Third, in the Urban Libraries report, libraries build English capacity. That's a true statement on its own, but I think it's more accurate to express the statement comprehensively. In other words, what public libraries are very, very concerned about in dealing with New Mainers generally, we certainly are, is building capacity, period. Language is the key thing, clearly, but there are many other areas where capacity development can happen. For example, we work, in addition to language, reading literacy, financial stability through education and job searching, and development of technology skills, which has become more and more important. I'll give you a couple of quick case descriptions. At Riverton, we provide immigrants online assistance for resumes and help with filling out job applications by providing proper spelling and grammar. Provide citizenship information. We work with LearningWorks to help provide materials for English language learners, and we work with CPPC, which is Community Partnerships for Protecting Children, to come up with methods and ideas to keep the Riverton immigrant community safe for children. We also take part in school activities such as our annual potluck and back-to-school barbecue, which helps bring the Riverton community together and gives all families a chance to intermingle. We also have done a number of story times and with one of Riverton's ELL classes. So it's broad. You can see the number of partners in this. In the children's library here, the main library, there are 2 language databases, which are hundreds of thousands of uses, let me just put it that way, called Muzzy and Tumble Books. And they're well used by the New Mainer community, both at the library and at the home. And in the Muzzy database, English is the most heavily used language. So there's Chinese in there, Spanish, Russian, all sorts of things, but English is far and away the most heavily used module of that. We have tremendous attendance at our regularly scheduled story hours here at the library. The daycares that come in to use the library have a high New Mainer component. We've done storytelling for classrooms and for groups like LearningWorks and Parks and Rec. Our summer reading program really has a target this next year, this summer, in going to neighborhoods where are primarily New Mainer populations. We've had conversations with Portland Public Schools to identify those neighborhoods more specifically, to get out there and particularly to work with the pre-K age group so that their language skills are strengthened immediately. I don't know if any of you have seen the story walks, which exist at Payson Park and at Riverton. They're a series of panels of books, oversized panels that families can go to about 18 panels of the picture book. And these are both, we're done with Healthy Portland. They are about movement and health and trying to raise the issue of taking care of the health of children and family, but they're also literacy experiences. We have an I Am Your Neighbor Portland program coming up, again with another partner, Maine Humanities Council, centered on 12 books which provide people the opportunity to learn about their neighbors and diversity. They're all books based on new arrivals. Finally, things like the Junior Achievement Job Shadow Day. The number of new Mainers who came to that was pretty amazing. But these are some of the sort of quiet things that we do. I do want to say, when I think about the 26-year-old average age, we have a teen library upstairs. Every day, from 2 to 5 p.m., are approximately 60 to 80 teens. And 90% of them, and I think I'm being conservative, 90% I think are new Mainers. So the opportunity, we're work right now with Learning Works to try to determine how many of these kids do we think are at risk, meaning may not finish their high school experience. And so I think this issue, Mike Dixon is here, who's the executive director of Portland Connect Ed, of which we're a partner. And our whole concern, all of us, is the issue around pre-K and what's happening all the way through the school system. Because clearly, without the language and the education piece, we're not taking advantage of this tremendous asset. A couple of more things quickly. Our reference staff down here has worked with new Mainers for many years. And the things that they do include create resumes, draft cover letters, thank you letters, polishing people's resumes. The leader of our business and government team gave me these comments. She said, quote, "I find one of the most satisfying parts of my job is when a new Mainer tells me they have found a position. I find it extremely disheartening to see former professors, doctors, and lawyers having difficulty navigating," this is not picking on Barber Foods, but navigating the Barber Foods website to apply for a $9 an hour job. So it speaks to the language difficulties. In the area of financial stability, partnerships with United Way, Key Bank, AARP, and community financial literacy to try and assist people in everything from tax preparation to starting a business. The fourth one is libraries create connections to local institutions. We don't do any of these programs without partners. So by virtue, we're constantly either as a program generator with a partner or following along and being support, whether it's Portland Connect Ed or whatever, introducing people to people in the city who might be able to help. And the final one was libraries encourage civic engagement. This is probably the area where we're even the strongest because the public library is a convener, but also is a very casual meeting place where you see people you're not going to see anywhere else. That includes everybody here. It's the true statement for everyone in here. We have a grant from the Lerner Foundation, and we're collaborating with Institute for Civic Leadership and Maine Humanities Council around a civility and civic engagement initiative, which will play out over the next 2 years. Target issues addressing cultural differences as well as very specific issues, public policy. And then one of the other things we have is with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, a significant collection around citizenship, things to hand out, et cetera, but just trying to get people to understand, to have an opportunity to apply for citizenship and understand what it means to be a citizen of this community. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you so much. As you can see, the library is involved in a very large range of activities and with a very large network of partners. And it's true what you say about the number of teens in that section, because I like to read the graphic novels. I'm a frequent library user, and at the right time of the day, I gotta kind of sneak my way in, kind of, elbow my way in. You mentioned that it's not just such an obvious thing how to connect with communities and various parts of those communities and their leadership.